guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have just a updated nursing experience video. I think I did one spring 2016, so I guess it's been over a year, so it's time to do an updated one because a lot has changed. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what kind of nurse I am, what I've done as this type of nurse, and my experience transitioning to a different state, and also about school because I am also in school for nursing once again. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. Don't want to make this super long. Gonna try to keep it real short, real short and sweet. So okay, so if you're new to my channel, welcome. I do beauty videos, fashion videos, lifestyle videos, and occasionally I do videos, well, this is, I guess, lifestyle related to my career because I am a nurse. And yeah, so I also have a vlog channel. It's linked in the description box below if you guys want to check that out. I am a LPN, which is well, I was an LPN. I'm an LVN now. It's the same thing. LPN, LVN, they're interchangeable. So in Florida, I was a licensed practical nurse, and that's what I went to school to be and everything like that. And then here in Texas, oh, by the way, I've recently moved to Texas. So here in Texas, I'm a licensed vocational nurse. Those terms are used interchangeably. It's the same degree, diploma, however you went about getting it. It's just that for some reason, I don't really know why, but on the East Coast they say LPN, and on the West Coast of America, of the US, they say LVN. So since coming here, my license is it now states that I'm a licensed vocational nurse. So basically, a little background is I went to a technical college after going to regular university and state colleges for many years. I did get my associate's degree in regular college in Gainesville, and then I had my daughter, and I was supposed to start an RN program, but I would have to wait. So I was supposed to I was on the waiting list for the RN program at Florida Atlantic University, which is down in my hometown where I'm from, down in Florida, in South Florida. So I was moving back home from North Florida to South Florida. So I went ahead and I decided well, my mom found the LPN program, and she was like, you know, instead of waiting a year to get into this program, why don't you just do a nursing program that just takes a year? So I went ahead and I enrolled in the LPN program at a school in Fort Lauderdale. And I can honestly say, given my position in life, at the time I was a single mom, and you know, my daughter was really young, and at the time I had the support of my family. So at that time it was the best decision for me because I was able to go to school and I didn't have to worry about a whole bunch of bills or anything like that because I had a lot of family support. So I went ahead and I went to school Monday through Friday from about 7 to 2 o'clock. And yeah, and I had clinicals and everything like that, the hospitals, the nursing homes, everything. I got to watch, you know, people give birth to children. I got to watch surgeries. I got to do it all. Like, I love, like, my school gave me the best experience ever. Like, oh my gosh. Like, so if you're in the Fort Lauderdale area, I went to Atlantic Technical College. So that's the one that I went to. So I would definitely highly recommend that school. The professors are awesome. They actually care about you and your success, and they teach you everything. Like, even if it's something that you're not going to be allowed to do until you're an RN or an ARNP or anything like that, they still teach it to you and you get to see it. But you just have to remember your scope of practice once you become a nurse. After I obtained my diploma, I then went and I started dating Tim, my fiance, and so we moved to Tallahassee, which is where he went to school. So we moved to Tallahassee, and that's where I began my nursing career. Prior to that, I was working as a receptionist part-time. I worked as a CNA part-time doing home health, and I did work in a rehab facility at one point, but I didn't really like working there as a CNA, so I stuck to home health while being a CNA. So I basically like worked my way up in the nursing field. And now I'm currently in school working on my RN degree. We moved to Tallahassee, and that's where I began my nursing career. I started at a subacute skilled unit rehab and long-term care facility. And these are facilities that have 2 units. They have the long-term care for the people who live there, and then they have the short-term care for the people who are like, you know, they had surgery, they had to be released from the hospital or discharged from the hospital, so they need somewhere to go for recovery and more rehab if they're not going straight home. So they would come to our facility and be on the subacute side, which is more skilled nursing, where you deal with like a lot of IV bags, where you have to start IVs, you have to, you know, make sure the lab collects and processes any blood work that the doctor has ordered. You have to do a variety of things, and you supervise and manage the CNAs as well. So I started there as just a floor nurse, and then like about a month in, they asked me to do the wound care. So they had the interim DON at the time. She taught me almost everything I know about wound care, how to measure, how to treat like basic wounds and things like that. And then I did that for about 2 months, and then I realized I was kind of becoming like really burnt out and stressed all the time. So I decided to tell them that I no longer wanted the position, that I wanted to be a floor nurse. Which is what I was hired to do. So I became the floor nurse, and then I started there in August, and then from September to October I did the wound care, and then I decided I didn't want to do the wound care anymore. And so they still, you know, they let me stay, and I stayed on my shift, which was day shift, and I just did regular med pass to the patients. And at the time everyone had to do their own treatments, so I was, you know, doing my own treatments as well. And so come January, they hired a new wound care nurse. And so she did the wound care for almost a year. This was January 2016. By the summertime, by about July 2016, she was like out on medical leave. So they asked me, being that I had the experience from doing the wound care, they asked me to fill in for her while she was out on medical leave. So I filled in for her for a couple of months, and then she finally came back, and then she, you know, did the position. She kept her position for about a month, and then she decided she was going to leave the facility and get a job elsewhere. So after she did that, they came and they asked me, you know, what would you like to do? Would you like to stay on the floor, or would you like to, you know, take back this position? And so at the time, the scheduling worked out well for my life. So at the time, it worked out better for me to work like 8 to 4 or keep 7 to 3. I basically had a lot of flexibility with my schedule. I could come in whenever I wanted and just leave whenever I wanted, as long as it was like an 8-hour period, basically. So I would come in, I made my schedule like 8 to 4. I would come in and work Monday through Friday. I had weekends off, and I would get to spend a great amount of time with my family. So that was awesome. I did that up until May 2017, because at that time we decided we were going to move to Texas. So I switched to PRN, and I just worked on the med cart, or I would come in and just help with little odd jobs here and there, like if they needed someone to return pharmacy meds, I would come in and do that for a few hours, because I didn't have the time, being that we were transitioning, trying to get our stuff together to move. I didn't have the time to be there on a full schedule every day. So I switched to PRN, which is per diem or as needed. So that way I just picked up shifts whenever I wanted to work. So that's what I did up until we moved to Texas. So I had to apply for a license with the Board of Nursing in Texas, and then I also had to do fingerprints for Texas, and I also had to do a exam online, which is just a nursing jurisprudence exam. That's what it's called here. And basically that just makes sure that you know your scope of practice, know what you can and cannot do. So I did the prep course for that because I wasn't familiar with it, because that's not something that we had to do in Florida. But in Texas, they require any new graduates or anyone that's applying for endorsement, which is what I had to do to basically transfer my license over to Texas from Florida. You have to take that test. So yeah, so now I am a licensed vocational nurse in Texas, and I do start work, well, you guys are seeing this now, this is Thursday. I started working Tuesday. So I got a job at the same type of facility that I worked at in Florida. It's a skilled nursing rehab facility. And yeah, so it was just easier for me to apply to something I was familiar with in order to get a job when I was ready to start working than to apply to like clinics or like doctor's offices or urgent care centers and things like that where I don't have experience in that area. So more than likely, if those companies are not willing to train you, then it's best that you stay in the area where you have experience until you can find somewhere that will hire you in a different area. So most LPNs or LVNs, they work in these type of facilities anyways. It's very rare nowadays to see LPNs or LVNs in the hospital setting, but hospitals do still hire them. I did apply to a hospital job, but I know that the hospitals take a lot longer to get back to you about a job posting than the rehabs and things like that. So the job that I currently have, I'm just going to be a medication floor nurse. I'm not taking on any responsibility as far as having my own department and things like that like I did at my last job, because I was completely in charge of the wound care. I went around every Tuesday with the wound care nurse practitioner and the wound care surgeon and made rounds with them, updated orders. I had a CNA that went around with me every Tuesday with them, and it was just a lot to do, especially since I would be there sometimes like after everyone else left at like 5. I'd be there till 7 sometimes, and then, you know, I'd still have to go home and tend to Jade and Tim and, you know, just family things. So even though it was nice to have the weekends off and everything like that, it was still very difficult for me to try to balance everything, because this was my first time being in like a management position, playing a management role. Like I said, now I'll be working in the same type of facility, but I will just be doing just the normal things that the nurses do. So yeah, so what else do I want to talk about? Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is school. So I attend Excelsior College online, and I'm working on my RN degree. The first one is the ASN, of course, and then move on to the BSN. But so I'm working on my ASN right now, and I'm almost finished with the program. I will be finished, I think, by next summer. And because I have 5 courses left to take, and I take 2 courses per semester. So come fall semester, I'll be taking 1 course for the first 8 weeks and the second course for the second 8 weeks, and then the same thing in the spring and summer. In the spring, however, I start my upper level like management courses, and so I can do those. They said I can double up on those, but it just depends on how my schedule is, if I will double up or if I will just keep doing 1 class at a time. But that's one thing I do like about my school. I have the choice whether or not I want to do 1 class or 2 classes, or if I want to study on my own, if I want to just do the exam. And you know, they're different, they have a variety of different options. So yeah, and then it's very convenient because I get to work as a nurse and still gain experience while I'm doing my schoolwork. And so for me, that's a great thing, because I didn't even think about that after becoming an LPN, that like I'd be able to work. Like I did think about it like, oh, I'll be able to work while I go to school, but I didn't realize how much it helps me with school, because like sometimes we're talking about things in my class that, you know, oh my gosh, I just had a patient that had this happen, you know, so I can use that experience to kind of verbalize what I want to say in my discussion posts or what have you. So yeah, so that's basically it, guys. There's nothing else new going on with my nursing. I do want to get into labor and delivery or like women's health, because that's like my main goal. But like I said, as an LPN, it's very hard to get jobs in those areas. So once I get my RN, I will go ahead and find a job in those settings. Okay guys, that's it. If you guys have any questions about nursing, just go ahead and leave it down in the comment box, and I will be sure to answer them for you guys. Yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.